freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day. Through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. From the divine constitution of Moorish America, we read, salvation, our God, unity. Let us read the Constitution itself. The Grand Sheikh and the Chairman of Moorish America are empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the Prophet and the grand body of Moorish America. To assist the Grand Sheikh is to assist the Grand Sheikh in all affairs, if he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of Moorish America. The Bylaws, Act 2. All meetings be open and closed promptly according to the Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holiday of rest, because on a Friday, the first man was formed in flesh, and on the Friday, the first man departed out of flesh, and ascended unto his Father God, Allah, for that cause. Friday is the holiday for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all citizens of Moorish America. No citizen to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister on any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because of Act 4. All citizens must observe these holy and divine laws, and all citizens must obey the laws of the government. Because by being a Moorish America, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live the life accordingly. Act 5. No organization of Moorish America to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the said government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all citizens must proclaim their nationality. And we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know they are part and parcel of this said government, and though they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names was given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is the new era time now, and all men now must proclaim the free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Dwelly the Prophet to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All citizens must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and parcel of all the lifting acts of Moorish America. Moorish Americans must pay their dues and keep in line with all the necessities of Moorish America, and then you are entitled to the name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband, take care of your children, look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother and be industrious and become a part of the uplifting of fallen humanity. All Moorish Americans must keep their hearts and minds pure with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant from your holy prophet Noble Dwelly through the guidance of his Father God Allah. Islam, Islam, Islam was with the recitation of our national prayer and reading of our divine constitution and its bylaws, we will now officially declare our meeting, our class officially open with love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Welcome, 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 everyone. We have a tremendous amount of lessons to give out tonight, Moors. This is our national class on Wednesday, and with this we're dealing with what we call the state of the nation. Which, when we mean nation, we talk about the nation of Moorish Americans. We are indeed a nation of people, a clean and pure nation of people at that. So, what kind of state is the nation in? This is what we'll be discussing tonight. And our subject matter is centered around the jurisdiction or the sovereign powers of a government. A lot of people, a lot of Moors are into a lot of studies these days, and they hear the word sovereign or sovereignty used a lot, but oftentimes very little is given to the actual essence of the word, and most likely unlikely to live it just the same. So this is what the problem has been. It's one thing to say you're a Moorish American, it's quite another thing being a Moorish American. It's one thing to say you know about sovereignty, it's quite another story to be sovereign. So tonight we want want to center everything around our subject chapter for the week. And we must honor all things written to us and given to us by the Prophet Noble Dwali. And this week's chapter, subject matter is dealing with chapter 14. The ministry of John the Harbinger as he returned to Hebron, and he lives as a hermit in the wilds. In fact, he visits Jerusalem and speaks to the people. And we'll be centering our subject matter dealing with the hoi polloi, the commoners, the common people. We will be going there tonight, so please, more, have your pencils and papers handy. And if, in view of the secretary, then I would like to call on, I think, Sister Nadine Dunbay, Divine Minister. She's available to read us our chapter for the week. And as she comes before you, let me open up the lines again. As she comes before you, please give her your undivided attention. Before we, hold on a second. Okay, Moses, I ask everyone to please just star 6 your phone, submit yourself out until such time as we are, the question and answers. Then you can feel free to unmute your phones at that time. But right now, I want everyone to please mute the phones, star 6 your phones, out of courtesy for those who are bringing forth the lessons and the guidelines. Okay, Sister Nadine, are you there? Star 6 if you are. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, rather than that, most what we'll do, I'll read the chapter for the night, since I'll be coming for the chapter anyway. Anyway, chapter 14, Islam. Okay, chapter 14, the ministry of John the Harbinger. John the Harbinger returned to Hebron, lived as a hermit in the wilds, visits Jerusalem, and speaks to the people. I also like to point out more that in this special chapter, that of all the 70 chapters that was presented in the Circle 7 Quran, its entirety, Noble Dwali wrote 4 of those chapters. This happened to be not one of those. This is one of the other 66 chapters that came and was delivered through him, the 7th angel. He did write 4 chapters, though, chapters 45, 6, 7, and 8. But this is chapter 14, so bear with us, okay? It came to pass when John, the son of Zacharias and Elizabeth, had finished all his studies in the Egyptian schools, he returned to Hebron, where he abode in certain days. And then he sought the wilderness and made his home in David's cave, where many years before he was instructed by the Egyptian sages. Many people called him the hermit of Engides, and others said, he is the wild man of the hills. He clothed himself with skins of the beast. His food was carbs, honey, nuts, and fruits. When John was 30 years of age, he went into Jerusalem, and in the marketplace, he sat in silence 7 days. And there's, okay, we'll be getting into the chapter more. Just bear with me. I just got so much to give you tonight. The common people and the priests and the scribes and the Pharisees came up in multitudes to see the silent hermit of the hills, but none was bold enough to ask him who he was. And when his silent fast was done, he stood forth in the midst of all and said, Behold, the king has come. The prophets told of him, the wise men long have looked for him. Prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king. And that's all he said. And then he disappeared, and no one knew where he had gone. And there was great unrest in all Jerusalem. The rulers had heard the story of the hermit of the hills, And they sent couriers forth to talk with him, that they might know about the coming king. But they could find him not. And after certain days he came again, and in the marketplace, and all the city came to hear him speak, he said, Be not disturbed, you rulers of the state. The coming king is no antagonist. He seeks no place or earthly throne. The eyes of men shall see it not, and none can enter but the pure in heart. Prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king. Again, the hermit disappeared. The people strove to follow him, but he drew a veil about his form, and men could see him not. The Jewish feast day came. Jerusalem was full of Jews and parasites, and every part of the Palestine. And John stood in the temple, of course, and said, Prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king. And so, you have lived in sin, the poor cry in your streets, and you regard them not. Your neighbors, who are they? You have defrauded friends and foes alike. You worship Allah with voice and lip. Your hearts are far away and set on gold. You priests have bound upon the people burdens far too great to bear. They live in ease, they live in ease upon the hard-drawn wages of the poor. Your lawyers, doctors, scribes, and are useless cumberers of the ground. They are but tumors on the body of the state. They toil not, neither do they spend, yet they consume profits in your marts of trade. You rulers are adulterers, extortioners, and thieves, regarding not the rights of men. And robbers ply their calling on the sacred hill. The holy temple you have sold to thieves. Their dens are in sacred places set apart for prayer. Hear, hear, hear. You people of Jerusalem, reform, turn from your evil ways, or Allah will turn from you. The heathens from afar will come, and what is left of all your honor and your fame will pass in one short hour. Prepare, Jerusalem, prepare to meet your king. He said no more. He left the court, and no one saw him go. The priests, the doctors, and the scribes were all enraged. They sought for John, intent to do him harm. They found him not. Islam? All right, more so, what we're doing with the tonight's subject chapter, we want to call your attention to ayat 6, and we'll begin there as we go into our subject matter for tonight. Our subject matter for tonight is dealing with the powers or the jurisdiction of a government. And if you notice in our reading of the Divine Constitution, the word government is used 5 times throughout the Constitution. In fact, in 2 of its laws, 2 of its ayahs, you find that this special word is mentioned twice in just 2 of the bylaws itself. Okay? Although the word government is used 5 times throughout the entire Constitution bylaws itself. And the question has also been asked, and I have to get this up first and foremost. I don't know what Moors have down through the years, Moors have misinterpreted a divine constitution. Whether you want to call it divine constitution Moorish Science of America or divine constitution Moorish America, it don't make a dime worth of difference. It's got nothing to do with Jerusalem. Let me correct that. With the United States. Okay? Nothing. You can't find the United States nowhere in that divine constitution if it was to kiss you in the mouth. It's not there. That divine constitution and all of its bylaws was written exclusively for the Moorish Americans, the people themselves, the nation themselves, the government themselves. That's what it's all about. This is why it is in Act 5 when it explicitly asks you the simple question, okay? It just let you know there's no organization of Moorish America or thereof is to cause any confusion, okay? Don't start no stuff up in Constitution of the said SAID, the said government, but to obey hereby. Okay, so what in the world is the said government? What government? That the word said alone means it's already been spoken of. Somewhere, said is a past tense, okay, for the word say. Okay? Say unto you, what are you doing? No, it didn't say. It said say. That means you've already been talked to. Okay, so when you use the word said, that means whatever it is that you're talking about has already been spoken. Said, S-A-I-D. Not difficult at all. It's a past tense. So where has the word government been used, okay, prior to Act 5? Where the prophet clearly said, look, don't start no trouble up in here. Don't cause no confusion. So where in the world is the government? The first place the word government is used is really not the word government at all. It is the Constitution. No government can exist without a Constitution. So what is the Constitution? It is the entirety of Act 1. That is your government that the prophet speaks of. Why would you know it's your government? Why? Because it tells you about, it names all the officials, it names the principal, and it also names the run of the government, how it's going to be done. The Grand Sheik and the chairman. And contrary to popular belief, people say the assistant Grand Sheik is above the chairman. No, the assistant Grand Sheik is not above the chairman. You got two pillars in the Constitution of the government of Moorish America. Okay, the first pillar is in Act 1, which is called the Constitution. It says that it's the Grand Sheik, and this is the number one pillar. The Grand Sheik and the chairman, okay, of Moorish America. There you go, right there. Okay, are empowered to make law and enforce laws. But even they, as powerful as these two positions are, as powerful as it may be, they still cannot do it without what? The assistance of the prophet and the grand body. Okay, again, so you won't have no misunderstanding. Again, it's speaking of what? Of Moorish America. It lets you know who you are. Okay? Then the second fellow, the second sentence, here we go with the second staff. Here comes the assistant Grand Sheik. So which one is more powerful? The Grand Sheik and the chairman or the assistant Grand Sheik? Come on, more. Is the assistant Grand Sheik more powerful than the prophet? Is the assistant Grand Sheik more powerful than the grand body? No. This is your entire government. If someone to ask you right now, well, which one is more powerful? John Doe, citizen of the United States, or is it the Congress? Is it the House of Representatives, or is it the Supreme Court? Are you talking about the legislative, judicial? Which branch are you talking about? You're talking about a government. Here is your entire government. So hold on to this more because, see, we're not used to, we've had 520 years of forced and mental slavery imposed upon us. Okay? So it's understandable you're afraid to understand what it is about you that's free. That's why a lot of people call in, they'll check, but they don't want to say nothing. There's fear. They're not used to having things that they can trust. They're not used to having a government of their own. They're not used to being able to love one another. To say, well, this is really my brother here, my sister here. I can let it go. I can just love and don't have to worry about them doing some harm to me, misleading me, misguiding me, not protecting me when I need it, not helping me. Okay? This is an entire government, your divine constitution. And look, continuing on with the second pillar, the assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs. There is your unity right there. That's what holds up the nation. Okay? This is the second pillar that holds up the entirety of the Moorish Americans. Why? Because the assistant Grand Sheik is holding up that second pillar to make sure that it's in conjunction and in support of what? The first pillar. Okay? And not only that, but it said what is keeping everything together? Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You cannot have a constitution without principles. Okay? And not only that, but these are not principles that you just talk out the side of your neck about. These are principles of action. Why? Because it said, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and it is known before the citizens of the Moorish America. So, in other words, the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice got to be acted out every day, 24/7. We're not talking about 2 hours a week where you go to the meeting, to some club or some organized group or some religious entity. No, this is 24/7. Okay? That these principles have got to be exalted into the heart and mind of every man, woman, and child in this Moorish America. Okay? So I just wanted to point that out more because when a lot of times when they read Act 5, a lot of Moors have misunderstood and they want to say, well, the said government, because the only government they've ever heard about is the United States. Well, excuse me, but ain't that the same government that enslaved you? Along with the government of Morocco under a treaty, ain't that the same one that enslaved you? One soldier enslaved, the other one bought you. Anyway, moving right along. Chapter 14, Ayat 6. The common people and the priests and the scribes and the Pharisees came out in multitudes to see the silent hermit of the hill, but none were bold enough to ask him who he was. Let's back this up because you're going to hear this statement again. You're going to hear about these common people, which is also called, we used to call it the hoi polloi. That's spelled H-O-I P-O-L-L-O-I, hoi polloi. It means the common people. Sometimes it's a little derogatory term, sometimes mean the common people, okay? But it's oftentimes referred to as the masses or ordinary people, those who are not rich or they're not that powerful, and some oftentimes they're not that well educated. Please pay attention to the part they're not well educated, because oftentimes many of our Moors, of the Moorish Americans, they often misconstrued a European education and they think because they got a PhD in this and a doctorate degree in that, but they don't have no degree in the knowledge of the self. Okay? Not NAN degree, I mean NAN. All right? So what we're saying here is that if you don't know who you are, what good is it specializing in another man's education? You can have a master's degree in his foolishness, because that's all it is made a fool out of you if you don't know who you are. That's why the prophet clearly said, look, I'm going to leave the European here just long to teach you how to run a government. Because obviously he don't know how. And all the proof is in this chapter, and we're going to bring that out later on tonight. Hold on, okay? The common people, we're talking about the hoi polloi, all right? You're talking about those who are not well educated, and don't that sound familiar? And that includes all those who think they know. If you know so much, how come you have not come together as a nation of people since you know so much? So if you know so much about, you've been educated so well, how come you haven't come together and saved yourself? Why have you learned about love or truth? Get yourself some peace. You know, what about some of that? Because when it comes to justice, the only thing we know is just us. And this is not speaking about Brother El Bay either. The only justice we know is just us, okay? If you want to get out of that, there's but one way out, and that's you must form amongst yourselves the government. Bear with me. The other term is the priest in Act 6. But to speak about the priest, the term priest actually was really was a descendant of the family of Aaron, which come to the house of Levi. And when they formulated the rabbis, because you must remember, Judaism is a government. Today it's interpreted as a religion. Well, so is Islam. But in actuality, it's not religion at all. It's a government. Just like Islamism, okay? It's really a government. All you got to do is look at you look at your divine constitution. The word itself, divine, let you know exactly what kind of constitution it is. And it matches the people, okay? When you say divinity, you're talking about gods, okay? When you're talking about divine, you're talking about God, Make no mistake about it. You're not talking about earthly. You're not talking about non-thinking things. You're not talking about that which can be bound up and grouped up and put in and jurisdictions and boundaries and things. No. You're talking about the infinite, limitlessness, no bounds. Okay? This is godliness. All right? When you're talking about divine constitution, holy instruction, a pure and clean nation of people, they all are one and the same. Okay? So when it comes down to these priests, this was back during the days of Judaism, which was, again, a theocratic government. And a theocratic government, let me write this down, a theocratic government is based upon the great God, the universal order, passed down through the descendants of man, known as gods, or the God-man. That's what it is. And then when I say descendants, you're talking about the books and the prophets, the holy books and the prophets, like the Torah or the Quran, all right? The prophets and every last one of them had to come out of Egypt. Ain't that strange? Okay? So we've got to get back to our roots. And when I say our roots, I'm talking about divinity. We got to get back, all right? So these priests is what happened when Yehoshua came and John came on the scene. They had made a mockery out of Judaism. It had not only Sadducees, Pharisees, they had all kinds of seeds going up. And what started out to be just a little old simple religion, or a simple government. Okay, when they came out of Egypt, said, look, here's your new laws right here. And most of these laws are founded of the Articles of Mayat, straight out of Egypt. The majority of these things. Because Moses himself was raised as a what? A Commission aristocrat. Okay, he knew about ancient Commission law. And he's the one who taught the so-called Hebrews about theocracy. But you must remember, more, Hebrew is not a people. There's no such people called a Hebrew people. All right? There ain't nothing but something Hebrewed up. Hebrew is a slave name. This is the name that the Commission gave to their slaves to replace their national identity. That's why they had to wander in the wilderness for 40 years, not knowing who they were, until they went back to the old-fashioned, wait a minute, who are, progressive, with Moabites and Hammonites and Canaanites. Okay? They had to go back to who the forefathers were. Sound familiar? All right. Here's another word, the scribes. Now, today, the scribe would be called a lawyer. But during that time, they were really like journalists and copiers, clerks. Okay? These are, as the prophet earlier called them, doctors of the law. These were people that wrote down the interpretation of what it was that the rabbis had to say in their interpretation, be there Pharisees or otherwise, Sadducees, and these are different. Well, we'll get into that in just a second. It's this next word. But when it comes down to the scribes, these are journalists today, or those who copied and knew how to write the written laws. They were stenographers. Okay, in the various courts. They were court recorders. And then later, as they got real good at it, they became lawyers. And sometimes, in order to become an official, you always had to become what? A rabbi. Under the theocracy of Judaism. All right? Now, the next word is Pharisees. All right? Now, this was a division under Judaism, because you had Pharisees and Sadducees, and they just splashed off. Just similar to the ones they're doing today, Islam. You got those who call themselves Sunnis, and others Sufis and Shiites, and all kinds of things. All right, and even the Moorish Americans, they want to be Sunnis and Shiites and what? Don't know what in the world they're getting into. Don't have a clue. All right. That's why the prophet said, our forefathers, the founder of the world's very first religious creed, found out what it is that your forefathers brought on this planet. And you stick with that, and you're going to come out right every time. Otherwise, you will end up with these same thing of these Pharisees, okay? And that they were those who became so self-righteous, they became interpreters of the Torah law, okay? And this is what started. they had others that disagreed with them. They became the Sadducees. Okay? So what we're saying is that you got these kind of opposition that was going on, and it created quite a turmoil within Jerusalem. But Jerusalem too was just what? A city within the confines of a country. Okay. So anyway, through all this, they came out of the multitude to see the silent hermit, and he just came up and delivered his message. He said, "Look, behold, the king has come. The prophet that told of him, the wise man longed to look for him. Prepare, O Israel, prepare to meet your king." Now, bear in mind, now, who is he talking to when he said, prepare, O Israel? He's not talking to the Pharisees. He's not talking to the rabbis. He's talking straight up to who? It took 12 different tribes, the people. He talked to nations, the nationality of his own people. Okay? There was some Moabites in there, some Hamathites, Canaanites, all up and down the ladder, okay? And this is who it is. David, when he said, "Oh, Israel," this is who he was talking to. Now, do it sound familiar? Do it sound like Marcus Garvey? Stand up, you mighty race, and accomplish what you will. There's no one greater, okay? You got the greatest God of all time to climb. Your God cannot die, neither can you. And then Noble Drawley came right along and began naming everything Marcus Garvey had said. Okay? He identified, he said, Marcus Garvey said, "Rise up, you mighty nation, accomplish what you will." Noble Drawley said the same thing, but he named the people. He said, "You're Moorish America." Today, you got 2,000 groups. Now, well, that may be exaggerating a little bit, but you got too many groups out there that's claiming to be everything but a Moorish America. Where in the world did this come from since 1929? Where was they at before Noble Drawley left the body? I'm talking about, you know who I'm talking about. Where were they at before 1929? Okay. All right. Prepare, Moorish Americans. Prepare to meet your king. All right? Noble Drawley, he's here. All right? And the thing about it, the work that he's done, he did it in such a divine manner that the West had put a seal on our entombment, saying that we were buried so deep in the shallow grave of the United States that no one could hear us pray. Nobody on the planet could hear us pray, even though that we existed. And even in the midst of all that, Noble Drawley came and brought a way for us to get out. He said, "Look, you form amongst yourselves the government. But you got to do it. You got to proclaim your nationality before the government in which you live." And damn the more than turn around and holler, United States. Master, I'm free now, Master. Here's my nationality ID card running right inside the European courts. That's not what Drawley said. He said, proclaim your nationality before the government in which you live. You can't call that 520 years of being in the United States. You can't call that living. Marvin Gaye was so right. Then he said, that ain't living. That ain't living. If you want to compare it, let's find out exactly what the powers that you have, because later on, the harbinger said, look, there was great unrest throughout all of Jerusalem. Why? Because the harbinger would bring in the door opener so that truth could come in. Okay? He would open up the door and say, look, y'all been laying around here, you done created all kinds of conditions. What kind of conditions was it there? Say you rulers of the state. Now I'm going out of Act 14 now, okay? You rulers of the state. So what kind of state are you talking about? All right. When you speak about the state, you're talking about land, air, and water. You're talking about whoever has jurisdiction or power to control the land, the air, and the water. This is the state in which the conquerors or the controllers have jurisdiction of. And this is what was happening throughout all Jerusalem, etc. Okay? The land, the air, and the water. Whoever has control of over this, have, this is what's called jurisdiction. It's a power that the government has. That's the definition for jurisdiction. It's a power that the government has to rule, govern, and protect its citizens. Okay? No government has the power to nationalize people, but they can nationalize land, air, and water. To nationalize people is a crime. Okay? In other words, to control or to own or to rule people of the human family is criminal. Okay? So therefore, what you have here is what they call jurisdiction, and this is the government. That's what that's the power in the government, is jurisdiction. And so what you have there is that, say, be not disturbed, you rulers of the state. Say, why? Because the coming king is no antagonist. He has no place over the earthly throne. He can care less about the earthly throne. Why is this? Because he's now talking to people that's so accustomed to city, government, and county and federal jurisdiction that they're thinking that this is the real deal. Although they have been oppressed, beat up, knocked out, and enslaved. Okay? Overtaxed. Does that sound familiar? Okay? Burdened. Can't hardly own the home they live in. All right? And yet and still he goes on to say, look, the eyes of men shall see not, that no one can enter here but the pure in heart. He's still talking to his people. Prepare, Israel. Prepare, Moorish, prepare to receive Noble Dwali. Because the Moors were not prepared for the last 82 years. They were not prepared for Noble Dwali. They don't know what the Dwali brought. Most of them call him a Mason right now. And it's some with other organizations trying to prove that the Holy Prophet that went all the way to Egypt come back as a Mason. Excuse me, but ain't that the same people that enslaved you and put you in a shallow grave and and called you Herm a Biff? Put a acacia tree over top of your coffin, and the only continent that acacia tree is indigenous to is the continent of Africa. But who buried you? Where they buried you in the Constitution laws of the United States. But you can't blame the United States for doing it. I don't blame nobody. If ain't nobody got no better sense than to volunteer themselves as a slave, I'm not going to be mad. Come on here and just shine my shoes. If you rather shine my shoes than go off over there and be a free people, then I just got some pretty shoes. That's all I can say. I'm not blaming the United States. It's not in their power to free the Moorish America. They got no jurisdiction to free you, and praise Allah, they don't. But you have power to free yourself, okay? Now, going into this right here, he's speaking about how you're serving Allah with voice and lip, okay? That means you're serving Allah outside of the self. What happened with the voice? The lips, they ain't got no power to move unless you tell it to or think it so. And what about the voice? That's just another action that's resulting from what you think. Again, that's outside of you. So the same thing, this is the way you're serving Allah. And ain't that the same God that we've been serving? Our God that's outside of ourselves. Why? Because we don't know who we are. All right? And the people have been burdened so much with taxes and penalties and laws, so much that they and here again, ayat 24. Here come the lawyers, the doctors, and the scribes. Again, they did not speak about them earlier. Okay? And even as they are doing what? They are tumults on the body of the state. They're getting their riches and their wealth and their glamour and saying, offer your own consciousness. This is the reason why Noble Dwali brought you the only way out. Okay? The only way out from the degradation. Now let's look at the Moorish America and the status we have today. Okay. Oftentimes you've heard the Moors speak about the UN Charter. One more said, well, you said we going back to the UN. We got everything we need to go back to the UN, except for one thing. All right? Right now it's money and sincere people. It's no sense to go into the UN and stand up there and say, here we go. We got everything. We have the laws. We got the government. We got everything except the money. And the money is there waiting on us, okay? But the sincerity of the people. Now, let me tell you what happens about the sincerity of the people. If the people's heart is not pure, it's not clean, that means sincerity. It being in accord with Act 7, okay? Then what would you do when you had trillions of dollars? That's more money than most of it could even fathom, all right, at your disposal. Now, bear in mind, there's two things our people have notoriously been known not to be able to handle. One is power, and the other one is money. Jurisdiction is power. Okay? Government is power. And when it comes to money, I think we had what's that, 90 trillion dollars annually, and don't have a dime to show for it. That's how much money runs through the Moorish American hands within the confines of the United States and the Jordan Islands annually. And how much money runs through our hands, and we don't have nothing to show for it. Nothing. As the people, nothing. Everybody else is getting, you wearing Calvin Klein. That don't say nothing about Moorish America. Okay? Gucci's, that don't say nothing about Moorish America. Why everybody is getting same, and they're running the money right through you, right through what? Because what? Your commerce. There's no difference between you, the Moorish American today that's unproclaimed, and a Gucci bag. Both of them are property. Both of them are used for commerce. Both of them are used by the what? The status quo or the government, the state. Those same scribes that were spoken about 2,000 years ago, the same with the milking. The United States is not a sovereign government. It's a corporation with sovereign power. Okay? It's a corporation with the same sovereign power as the government. But it's under the British rule where it always thought it's a corporation. You don't believe it? Check it out. 1871. It's been the RAF hit the United States. It was a sovereign power up till 1871. But the RAF hit it big time. Why? Because they brought back slavery under another name. Put down the 14th and 15th Amendment. Should have never done that. Okay? They invoked the RAF, the Universal Order, because that was highly out of order. Should have never done. In fact, they brought a holy prophet on the scene because of it. But nevertheless, the thing about it is what is the power of the Moorish American government? All right, write this down. Do you Moors know that with your own government, as a people, with your own, that we're not taught anything illegal, we're not taught no rioting and going against the United States and talking smack about their military and all over. No. All right. We're talking about what you rightfully are entitled to do for yourself, your children, your prosperity. Okay? Do you know we got situations here now where that we got, 13.2 billion single moms? They could not have a husband monogamously if they wanted to. Not so much as that women outnumber men anyway, naturally. We're not talking about that. It's not that kind of opposition. But they couldn't have a husband right now of their own if they wanted to, because the husband, the man, ain't there. What happened? There's 60 million Moorish Americans, okay, still kicking, in the Northwestern Hemisphere, including in Jordan Islands, especially within the confines of what is now known as the borders of the United States. Okay? So what happened to the men? All right? With your government, let me tell you something that you Moors have the power to, under your government you have the power to do. Number one, you have your own marriage laws. Okay? Number two, you will have the right to determine your own education for your own children. Okay? Now, you may not think too much of that, but do you know that the United States is way down low on the totem pole of education when it comes to other countries? I think they're 26th, 27th. They're way down there. Okay? And if you come to us as a people, it's what we teach our own children, it's non-existent. And so, now I'm not going to say non-existent because I want to give on to tomorrow's class for the Moorish children. They're doing a tremendous job. Congratulations on Thursday. And I invite everyone to please tune in. If you think this call is educational, tune in with our Moorish children, see what they got to say. But anyway, also, another power that you have, having your own government, the powers of your own government, Moorish Americans, do you know that you can open all the prison gates, federal, state, city, local, and otherwise, wherever there's a Moorish American locked up, no matter what the crime, it doesn't matter about the crime, or the alleged crime, or the whatever, okay? The convicted, whatever they say, the convicted. All right? Do you know you got the power to open up all the prison gates and let your own people out? Or let them all out. Okay? You got that kind of power, but you got to have your own government to do it. Because where else they going to go to if they don't have their own government? They got alliances and treaties all over the world where that they can transfer prisoners from one government to another. But they don't have anything except for the Moorish Americans. Okay? And there's a reason for that. All right? I mean, everything from the time that your children are born into the world, you have power and jurisdiction over your children to give them a future that based upon who their forefathers were, and then carry them on to the prosperity. Okay? Can you imagine what it'd be like, say, 80 years, 100 years from now, when the children coming up with Act 1 firmly planted in their hearts, where they know that they are a spirit and a part of the great God Allah, and how that they were given a soul that they can function on the plane of soul, and why, and how it is that they don't have to be caught up on the flesh, and ooh, baby, baby, ooh, ooh, ooh. And next thing you know, here comes murder, theft, and everything that harms. All right? That right there can be totally, completely eliminated under your own government. That's how important for you to get free. And that's another thing about your government. Do you know, Lord, you cannot be free without your government, without having your own government to reclaim yourselves to? In fact, you can't even claim your nationality unless you got a government in which you reclaim it to. You got 1.5 billion Chinese, and guess what? If they can go to any government in the world, they ain't gonna be a thing. Let them go to France, Germany, anywhere. I'm a Chinese. They gonna look at it like they're crazy. So what? You're not German. You ain't French. What you trying to say? Okay. But when he go before the Chinese government, it means everything. Why? Because he got a flag, he got a history, he got everything else that goes to making the substance of a Chinese national. That's how important your government is. All right? So a lot of more well, it's a pleasant debate saying this is a worldwide thing that our forefathers established. Even long before we read this chapter 14, long before that, long before Kim, long before we even had the great earthquake that caused the continents. Long before, we are the ones that set up governments on this planet. Okay? So that you can have protection and security within every family, every tribe, later every nation. Okay? That's what the government is for. If you don't believe me, let me show you how powerful it is. Okay? We use that as an example about a family. Just exile somebody from a tribe, any tribe. Just get out of here. Okay? Just get on out of here. What happens to that particular person? Okay, who no longer has the protection and security of their tribe, their family. The same thing that happened to us when we got kicked out from the human family. Call it slavery, call it what you will. We was kicked out, disbarred, disbanded, exiled for the entire human family. That's what happened to the Moorish America. Our own people, especially the government of Morocco, turned their back on us and exiled us, call it slavery if you wish, okay, exiled us away from the human family because George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and the rest of the European Masons, they said, take the identity from them. Denationalize them. Make them mine slaves. I own them. They're mine. In order to be a Mason here in the West, you got to be the real prestigious job of being a Mason, to own a slave, a West African slave at that. Don't you know that George Washington and even his wife Martha owned over 400 Moors when he became the first president of the United States? That's sickening, because that was a part of the Masonic prestige, okay? The same Pharisees that you're talking about in this week's chapter, that's what happened then. 2,000 years later, they're doing the same thing to us they did then. And the Hiccup Noble Drawley, just like John came to say, look, wake up. Wake up. And this is what your government is crying right now. Wake up, Moors. It's a new day. Or as Acts 6 said, it's a new era time now. The time now is for all men. M-E-N. Remember we talking about men was another word for what? Nations. All right? And then what it says? When you speak about the term, we've gone through the symbolic meanings of the word man and men and other things like feet and thought and travel and stuff. So we went through this, and we found out we're talking about the men of the earth. This is new earth time now, and all men that wants to claim their free national name. So what's your free national name? It's different, not Bays and Elves. Those are your tribal names. As holy as they may be, they're still tribal. Every nation only has one free national name. Ours just happen to be, praise the Lord, Moorish American. Moorish American. And our country name is Moorish America. That's why we have a divine constitution of Moorish America. That's why we have the Holy Quran of Moorish America. Why? Because for Moorish Americans, our free national name. What kind of national name? Free national name. And if you're not being a Moorish American, you're not being free. How can you tell a free Moorish American? Why? Because they're going to do things that free people do. Every free nation of people you know has got their own government, their own constitution that matches the name of the people and the name of the land. Hey, it's all right there, Moors. It's there. We're not asking you to do something that Noble Drawley didn't ask you to do something that other nations have never done. He's asking you to do the things that you yourself laid the foundation for other and set the example for other nations to do. We are the ones that did that. Okay? We're the ones that set the pattern for every nation on earth. It don't go back as far because we're the mother and fathers of the entire human family. Asiatics as well as Muslim. We go back as far. We can go back all the way to the throne of Allah. Okay? That's how far back we can go. We don't even need the human form. Well, anyway, I'm trying to personify the power that awaits you when you come together in unity as a nation of people, one free national name, and accepting the government that the Prophet Noble Drawley has laid down for you. Okay, laid it right down for you, all right? You got your grand, your chairman, assistant grand, your grand body. It's all laid right there. Okay? We have got a census. I want to give a special honor to Sheikh Muhammad El, A.K. Muhammad El in Chicago, doing a magnificent job on our website, MoorishAmericanGov.org. And in fact, we're coming up with a new page now added to it called the Moorish Perspectives. And that's going to be a lovely addition. I was looking at it earlier today. But this also is Not only that, but we let the people know. We sent a letter to the Obama administration and both Bush administration, etc. Let them know, hey, we coming, we here, okay? But you got other Moorish groups that's trying to downplay and turn over and make it look negative our plight to freedom, knowing that it's the. I'm sorry, they don't really know. I'm quite sure they wouldn't do that if they knew better. That's ignorance for you. But you would never. This is the only way out, Moors. You cannot be free of religious group. Okay, you can't get freedom through no other organized entity, no NGO. I don't care how much you wears back. It don't make a dime worth of difference until you go as one people, represent all 60 million with everything it takes. Okay, some of us even got the financial end covered, or they talk about commercial codes and everything. It's UCC 1 through 6, etc. Well, but what good is it going to do if you don't have a government to protect you? What good is it going to do hollering about how old you is, how old your forefather is, and what you actually own? These are my bounds and my this and my... Great. But you got no government to protect you. Now what you got? When you're in exile, away from the human family, you got no power. Why? Because you got no government. And the only way you're going to have a government, do you have any idea, since there's 60 million of us, they're going to let a handful, 200 or 300 more run around here hollering about eyes free. And here's 60 million run away. Wait a minute. Who is you? Eyes free. I'm Moorish American. I was like you, but I was more. No, it don't work like that. Because, needless to say, if I issue for the good heart and whip it to you myself, I even thought you'd do a trick like that on me. Okay? So the thing about it is that we have to claim our own people, show them the way, educate them, teach them. You wonder why we have conference calls 7 days a week? Because our people act 6. But we have to teach our people their nationality and their divine creed. How else can they know what a government is like? How else can they know what being a Moorish American is all about? How can they look at and their children's eyes and know good and well they're going to raise them as a Negro? Come on now. Consider the public school and make other little pieces of property out of another generation. That's not going to happen, okay? And the more that's about those channel cars and other FEMA things and programs that the Obama administration and other guys, more listen to me, all right? The power of a government is also, remember the word protection, all right? The United States also has, look, if you do something up in here wrong to the United States, all right, they have a solemn right to protect and defend the United States. It don't take, that's not rocket science. Do you know if you start some rioting and some carrying on up here, Trayvon, they killed Trayvon, and now you want to riot. Somebody slammed in your car, now you want to riot. Okay, excuse me, you want to riot, but you're the only one exiled for the entire human family. No protection. Do you know that you start any kind of civil unrest? Remember, that's today's subject matter in this week's chapter, unrest. When there's unrest in the United States, do you know that they actually suspend the presidency and the Constitution of the United States? Put it on the side. Put the run on the side, so on the shelf. Put the military around it, and they're going to go out there and protect whatever it is before they bring it back down again. There ain't going to be no president. There ain't no United States Constitution. Okay? Obama will be in office, but he won't be the president. He'd be the executive chief and commander of the military. His job there because what? The chief protector of the United States. That's sovereign power. And saved. But you've got to make your stand, Moors. You got to make your stand, all right? That's what you have when you have, that's the reason why we're insisting on the government. Just said, no, Ali, boy, to us, say, look, boys, this is your government. Did you know in the United States, the U.S. Charter, throughout the Charter, especially the rights of indigenous people, you're doing what you're supposed to do, but formulate yourself a government. Do you know that the colonies did the same thing against Britain? When Britain overtaxed them, overburdened them, that's the word they use in this week's chapter, burden. When they burdened the colonies so much, they rebelled against Britain and started, they had a war. But guess who helped them finance the war? Morocco. Ain't nowhere in the world they won that war against Britain. They had to have an allied source, okay? And that was Morocco. Why? Because Morocco said, look, look, as much money as I'm making off of you for selling Moors to you, yeah, I'll help you out. So Morocco gave us some money to finance the war so they could win the Revolutionary War against Britain. That's how it was done. And that's why it was done. But there is no war now. And now what's stopping the Moors from coming into their own? There is no more shallow grave. There is no more secrets being killed. I don't care what large member it is, okay? Large number so-and-so and so-and-so. More side number, large number so-and-so. It don't make the dime worth for difference. There's nobody stopping you from freeing you but you. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I want to have everyone please mute your phone, *6 your phone. I'm going to open up the class for any questions that you may have. But I want you to *6, everyone online, please, *6 until your phone says mute. And I want to open up the class and give you opportunity to.